People have asked what got me in trouble when I was in prison because I was blogging at the first prison I went to in Dublin, California. They ended up putting me in the SHU and then transferring me all over the country at different county jails, and then I ended up landing at Waseca, Minnesota. And here's what got me in trouble. So the prison was really lax on girlfriend relationships. And you can't control whether someone likes another person, but having these out in the open relationships or moving people in cells together created such contention because that's where all the fights came from. These codependent relationships, girls would come in feeling so empty and they would turn to each other, and then they would get really jealous if one of the girls talked to another person and there would be a big fight. And it ended up at Dublin that there was a huge fight on the compound one day. And it was right out in the open. We were all watching it. And it was like about a 15-minute fight of these girls going back and forth, throwing each other through mud and in trees. And the officers didn't even get to the fight to break it up for about 15 minutes. And then what happened was they took them both to the SHU. I wrote about the fight and they took me to the SHU. And so I ended up hearing those girls going back and forth and actually got chained to Diamond, who was one of the girls that was in a fight, and we were transferred together on Conair. The other thing that I wrote about was that there was an officer in the unit one day where two girls got in a fight, and he came over after the fight and high-fived the girl that won the fight, which was so inappropriate. And once I wrote about that and the other fight, it was like, oh, they shipped me. But the strange thing is, I didn't know if all prisons were like that. It was surprising to me because it was my first trip in prison. But when I got transferred to Waseca, there were hardly any fights, and it was run in a much different way. And so Dublin's been closed down now for other reasons, for inappropriate relationships with officers and inmates. And I'm not surprised. There were some really good officers there, but the whole vibe of the prison was much different than the other prisons that I went to.